I tried beating Terraria, but my entire world is slowly being devoured by acid rain. And for every boss we kill, the rain becomes faster and faster. Will I be able to defeat the squid god before there is nothing left in my world? Well, let's find out. Wasting no time whatsoever, I started off by chopping down trees, and I could very clearly see that this is going to be extremely devastating. Upon trying to pick up a piece of wood, I got one-shotted by the rain projectile, and I knew that this was going to be lots and lots of fun. I very quickly navigated to the right side of my world and found a cave which I could take shelter in. Take in, this is still only the first setting of rain, so I was just in disbelief of how hectic it could become. I went mining for ores and got killed by an undead Viking. I very quickly stumbled my way back into the cave, got myself a couple of life crystals, picked up some iron, I looted some chests, and another thing that I was trying to get my hands on was as many chests as possible. This, you will find out why very soon. Upon coming back to spawn, I started digging myself a elevator, and within the caves I crafted myself a golden pickaxe because I could not for the life of me come to the surface without dying. Don't worry boyos, I'm not going to be a cave dweller forever. I will think of a plan. I later ran over to the corruption, chucked some bombs at the corruption orbs in order to summon in the meteor, and once that was done, I came back to spawn to start building myself an above ground base. Essentially, I covered the entire surface that I didn't want breaking with chests, and I would place a single block within there to make an indestructible force that even the rain could not break. This was of course the Terraria chest. I continued my elevator and actually finished it quite early by making my way down to the underworld, and I also picked up myself a Hellforge. During this time, I got myself an obsidian skin potion luckily, so we're not gonna have to go and farm that out. And then under my chests, using the Louis AFK prison builder, I proceeded to build a couple of NPC houses in a location where I knew they were protected. After this, the meteorite had actually landed, so I went over to the right side of the world, and luckily it was there. Using my golden pickaxe, I picked it up, and upon coming back to spawn, I made myself full meteorite armor and the space gun. I built more NPC houses, and then went over to the corruption to challenge the Eater of Worlds. I summoned him in, and defeated him quite easily, which inevitably makes the rain even more fierce. Once again boyos, if you don't remember, for every single boss we beat, the projectiles speed up, destroying the world faster and faster. I crafted myself a bunch of demonite bars, made myself a nightmare pickaxe, farmed out a load of obsidian, and then went to pick up hellstone as I already had an obsidian skin potion from our previous venture to the underworld. I got myself enough hellstone to craft myself full molten armor and all of the molten tools, and once it turned to night, I went over to Skeletron's dungeon, and the first thing I noticed is that it was absolutely destroyed, but regardless of that, I summoned him in and took him out using the molten fury. After the defeat of Skeletron, the rain grew even more fierce. I ventured down into his dungeon to try and find the Muramasa, which was a huge success as essentially I found it in the first chest that we opened. Upon coming back to spawn, I built more chests so we could actually cover more ground and make sure less of our environment gets destroyed. I made myself the Light's Bane, and now I had to go over to the jungle to get myself the Blade of Grass in order to craft the Night's Edge. With the amount of HP I had, almost every single step could be my last. There were a couple of times where I would be trying to make my way across the world or just doing something above ground, and I would get struck by a rain projectile that would either kill me or take me down to such low HP that I was practically one shot. Within the jungle, I farmed out jungle spores as well as stingers, and along with this, I picked up as many chests as I could. I got myself a couple of life crystals as well, and upon coming back to spawn, I expanded my base even further. I went back to the jungle to pick up more chests and finish farming the Blade of Grass, and once again, upon coming back to spawn, I actually decided to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. Surprisingly, I did not get hit by the rain projectiles, and we defeated the eyeball fairly easily, but because we defeated another boss, the rain falls even faster. You'd think progression be good, but no, I'm genuinely scared of progression in Terraria now. As soon as the Eye of Cthulhu was defeated, I went over to a demon altar, crafted myself the Night's Edge, went down to the underworld, and started making myself an arena for the Wall of Flesh. The only thing going through my mind was trying to speedrun this as fast as possible, because the longer we wait on actually making progress in this game, the more of our world is going to get destroyed, and I can't spend any time farming whatsoever. While building the arena, I got myself a guide voodoo doll, and once I finished building the arena, I went over to the jungle to farm out life crystals. I got myself 380 HP, bought myself a ton of buffs, went back down to the underworld, buffed up, chucked the guide voodoo doll into the lava, and then proceeded to fight the Wall of Flesh. I spammed it with the Night's Edge to clear the hungry, and then demolished it with the Molten Fury, putting us into hard mode. Of course, since we beat another boss, the rain becomes even more faster, and once I came back to the surface, it was actually a blood moon. I quickly rushed into the corruption and started breaking as many demon altars as I could. We had no time to waste. We blessed our world with palladium, mithril, and titanium. Of course, I died to the wraiths countless times, and upon fighting a werewolf at spawn, I got no-scoped by the rain projectiles, which one-shotted me. I started the legendary pickaxe progression by first making myself a palladium pickaxe, getting myself enough mithril to make a mithril anvil as well as a mithril pickaxe. I went to go bless my world even more because I hadn't broken as many demon altars as I really wanted to, and then once my world was sufficiently blessed and probably half destroyed because I spent way too much trying to do this, I went down into the caverns and started grinding out titanium. I died countless times to the mobs, which drastically set us back. Every second I wasted was a second of the world being destroyed around me. I made myself a titanium forge and crafted myself a bunch of titanium bars. I went back to mining because the amount I had wasn't sufficient, and upon that final mining expedition, I came back to spawn, crafted myself full titanium armor, a titanium repeater, and a titanium sword. I also got myself a couple souls of night and light, so we're gonna have to do less grinding in the future. And then after this, I went to go farm out souls of night, but I realized that without wings, this was gonna be tragic and I'm gonna waste way too much time, which will inevitably destroy my world even more. Using a gravitation potion, I found myself an intact sky island. Honestly, like there's nothing left of the sky island except for the chest, and I tried to farm out wyverns. Once I had enough souls of flight, I came back to spawn, crafted myself a set of harpy wings, and then went back to the caverns in order to farm out more souls of light. Once I had enough souls, I came back to spawn and crafted myself the summons for all 3 mechanical bosses. This is where it gets really risky, because if we get hit by one rain droplet, we're essentially done for, meaning that I either have to build a large platform of chests to camp under, or I could try testing my luck. You guys know how lucky I am, so I decided to test it out. I first summoned in the destroyer, and using Jester's arrows, we absolutely plowed through him. I think in the middle of the boss fight, I actually did get hit by a rain projectile that set me back an insane amount of health, and I thought I was going to die, but I somehow managed to pull through and kill the destroyer. Before we could fight the twins, it turned to daytime, so I had to wait for the next night to come. The rain grows even faster, so with the twins, I'm gonna have to play it even more safe. Once it turned to nighttime, I buffed up and summoned them in. I was running all around the world trying to take them out, and once again, I'm pretty sure I did get hit by the rain projectiles here too, but I actually had the opportunity to heal up with the nurse, as unlike the destroyer, the twins would not plow through all of my NPCs if I came close to them. Anyways, we took out Spasmatism first, leaving us with Retinazer. I tried to stay under him just to be cautious of the rain projectiles, and also for the fact that the projectiles will deal damage to the bosses as well. We took out Retinazer, and all we have left is Skeletron Prime. The rain grows even more fierce. I thought it'd be a good idea to fight Skeletron Prime, so I summoned him in, and this boss was the epitome of an umbrella. He was protecting me from all the rain projectiles as he was staying on top of me and just bearing all of the brutal damage from the rain. I did get hit countless times by the rain projectiles during this boss fight, which prompted many near-death experiences, and I'm very surprised to say that we actually managed to take out Skeletron Prime. Well, the jungle grows restless. useless. And along with this, the rain grows even more deadly. You know what else is deadly? Boio when he sees that you haven't subscribed to the channel. So press the button or else. The first thing I did was crafted myself the pickaxe axe and the Excalibur, and then I went over to the jungle, dug myself out a little hole, and started grinding out turtles. After I did this, I actually went to the underground jungle and started mining out chlorophyte. I got myself as much chlorophyte as I could, and after I was done, I came back to spawn. The rain was extremely brutal now, and frankly, you could not go above the surface without taking damage. So, thank God I have jungle teleportation potions, because I think I would get absolutely demolished if I actually had to walk all the way over there. Everything around our protected chest was absolutely destroyed, and these Terraria chests really came in clutch for this challenge. After I crafted myself a bunch of chlorophyte bars, I went over to the right side of the world, and as I was venturing there, I actually summoned in King Slime. Just that combination of the rain and then the slime just being all over me really put me in a very sticky situation, and I could have very easily died. Upon coming back to the jungle, I went to farm out more turtles because frankly from our last expedition we did not get any turtle shells, and then after farming out turtles and a bunch of jungle enemies, I managed to get myself the Yelt's yo-yo and the turtle shells we needed to craft ourselves turtle armor. I also found myself Mr. Bone Man and managed to buy myself a yo-yo glove so we could go and make the master yo-yo bag. I made myself a master yo-yo bag and then went to go mine out more chlorophyte. During this process, I found myself Plantera's bulb, so I dug out a small arena around the bulb, and once my arena was done, I came back to spawn, crafted myself full turtle armor, bought myself a bunch of buff potions, and then I came back to the jungle. Upon teleporting to the jungle, I actually got teleported to a whole different location just because the acid rain had destroyed so many blocks of the jungle that the previous areas we would teleport to no longer even counted as a jungle biome. I went over to my arena, buffed up, summoned in Plantera, and then using the Yelts, we absolutely demolished her. If you guys want probably the most OP weapon to destroy Plantera with, try the Yelts with the master yo-yo bag. After the defeat of Plantera, the rain started to fall even faster. Our world practically stands no chance of even looking normal after this. I came back to spawn and then I proceeded to go into Skeletron's dungeon in order to farm out dungeon mobs so I can get myself the Kraken yo-yo. After dying countless times, I got myself the yo-yo, and then I came back to spawn to buy myself a bunch of buffs to prepare for the golem boss fight. I went into his temple, made sure to break all of the traps, and then once I had a properly set up arena, I summoned him in and fought him. Using the Kraken yo-yo and the master yo-yo bag, this boss fight was an absolute joke, and we took him out a couple of times to ensure that we had enough beetle husks to craft full beetle armor as well as beetle wings, and during this process I also managed to get myself the possessed hatchet. Of course, after beating Golem, the rain started falling even faster than before, so we had to hurry up if we did not want our entire world to get demolished. After I made myself full beetle armor and beetle wings, I teleported over to Skeletron's dungeon, and the lunatic cultist wasn't even there. The rain had destroyed so much of the dungeon that it was physically impossible for the lunatic cultist to spawn. Maybe I could have built myself an artificial dungeon, but it was too late to go back now. I had to use Heroes mod to summon in Lunatic Cultist as there was no other way, so if you think this is cheating, cry about it. I summoned in the Lunatic Cultist and proceeded to fight him using the possessed hatchet. I think I got hit by the rain a couple of times because for some reason there were just way too many close calls with my HP, and once we took out Lunatic Cultist, the celestial creatures started to invade. After beating Lunatic Cultist, the rain got even more faster and more deadly, and upon the defeat of each pillar, the rain is also gonna get even more hectic. Of course, after I beat Lunatic Cultist, I had to be in the exact location of the solar pillar, and because of this, I got absolutely destroyed. Before even considering finishing off any of the pillars, I had to build myself a proper arena for Moonlord. I spent the time to make a tiny little laser hut using chests so the rain couldn't break it, and then after this I went over to fight the vortex pillar. This was a huge pain. We were taking way too much damage from the mobs as well as the rain itself, and nothing around us was safe. One thing that did help me out was the rain dealing damage to the enemies, so that made the pillars a little bit less hell. Regardless of this, it took us so long to take out out any of the pillars. Before finishing the vortex pillar, I decided to go and fight the solar pillar in search for the solar eruptions so we could breeze through the rest of the pillars. This took me an absurd amount of time, but I broke its shield and then proceeded to destroy the pillar. This made the rain fall even faster, making the rest of the pillars even more deadly, but at least we had the solar eruption by our side. I next went to go fight the vortex pillar, which once again caused me to die countless times because of the combination of rain plus a ton of mobs, but I did manage to take it out, making the rain even more deadly. Next, I went to go take out the Stardust pillar. Of course, the rain grew even faster, and once I did that, I came all the way back to spawn and already bought all my buffs from Moonlord just in case. I crafted myself a Stardust Dragon Staff, and then went to go finish the Nebula pillar. Once I took that out, the rain was at its most fierce. We essentially had a storm going on of projectiles that would one-shot you whenever you would get touched by them. How was I going to beat the Moonlord? I don't know, but my screen started shaking and I had no time to think. I buffed up and he spawned in. I started flying around my world, but immediately started getting blasted by the rain projectiles. I mean, even getting a glimpse of the outside world was extremely unsafe, and I was a complete madman for running around without cover. I was constantly running back to the nurse in order to replenish all of my health that I lost from the rain and the Moonlord, but at least using the solar eruption, we were making some decent progress on the boss. I first took out his middle eye, then took out his right arm, and then took out his left hand next. After we took out the 3 eyes, the servants were absolutely blasting me, and I genuinely thought I was going to die. I don't know how I pushed through all of this, but we managed to take out his core and successfully defeat the Moonlord. I went to go check my map to see how our world looks, and it's completely devastated. I mean, it doesn't even look like a normal Terraria world. Almost the entire surface is gone, and all of the oceans are cleared of water. Be sure to check out another video like this on screen. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. This has been Boio. Peace out.